Lesson 103, more on rational equations. So we understand how to solve a problem that has different denominators. We find the common denominator, and then we multiply, and then we eliminate the common denominator, and that's for equations. There's a little bit more of an explained method I'm going to show you now that shows you exactly what you're doing as you do the problem. So 103.1, we're asked to solve y over 2 plus 1 over 4 equals y over 6. So the first thing we ask ourselves is, what is the common denominator going to be? And we find that by finding the least common multiple. And in this case, the least common multiple is going to be 12. So in order to eliminate having a denominator in the first place and turn these into whole numbers, we multiply everything by the common denominator, 12, as a whole number. We're going to just get rid of the fractions in one step by doing this. We're going to say 12 over 1, that's a whole number, times y over 2 plus 12 over 1 times 1 over 4 equals 12 over 1 times y over 6. Okay? And then we're going to multiply this. 12 times y, that's 12y. Okay? 12y divided by 2, that gives us 6y, correct? Okay, 12 times 1 is 12, 1 times 4 is 4, 12 over 4, 12 divided by 4, that gives us 3, correct? 12y divided by 6, 12 divided by 6, that gives us 2. So 2y is our answer. So now we can actually do the operations requested to solve this problem without having to deal with fractions. We have eliminated those fractions by finding a common denominator, multiplying that common denominator as a whole number times the entire fraction, performing the division, and bringing it down to a whole term. Now we can say, I'm sorry, let me put that in the wrong spot. Now we can subtract 6y from both sides. 3 is equal to negative 4y, and negative 3/4 is equal to y, or y is equal to negative 3/4, either way. All right, so let's move on to 103.2, which is a little bit more difficult, but the same type of problem. We're going to ease you into this higher difficulty of denominators. So we are asked to solve t minus 2, and that scratching you hear is Roscoe. He's trying to get my attention because he's bored. Mommy's doing something besides playing with him. But this has to be done, Roscoe. All right, so in looking at this problem, we see that our common denominator, the least common multiple of these, is going to be 3t. All right, because we have a whole 3 and a t and a 3t. We know if we multiply 3 times t, we would get 3t anyway. 3t is our common denominator. So we're going to multiply the entire fraction in the entire expression or equation by 3t. Okay, as 3t. So 3t over 1 times t minus 2 over t equals 3t over 1 times 14 over 3t times, or minus, sorry, 3t over 1 times 1 over 3. Now let's factor out. Let's use what we know about canceling to, and I'm sorry, I wrote a 2 here when I should have written a t. I don't know why I guess I was looking at the 2 up here when I wrote it. We're going to cancel out okay, we're going to look at our factors on the top and the bottom and cancel out so that we don't have to get to this big number and then reduce. That's going to save us some steps. So in multiplying, we know 3 times t here. These are two factors, so we can factor out the t here and the t here. And we can look at this one, and we see we've got a 3t and a 3t. And over here we have a 3 and a 3. So now we have canceled out everything we can. Let's go and do the multiplication. So we have 3 times t. We're going to use our distribution rainbow, right? 3 times t is 3t. 3 times negative 2 is negative 2. And the only denominator we have left is over 1. So over 1 means it's a whole number, so it's already by itself. We got rid of this entire factor here, so we're left with 14 over 1. So 14 is by itself, a whole term. Minus, we have t over 1 because we got rid of the 3's. T times 1 is t over 1. That's all we have left. So this is just t by itself. Now we can complete this equation. And we can do that by adding 2 to both sides and adding t to both sides. And so we have, did I write that down wrong? I did. I did write that down wrong, I think. Oh, I know what I did wrong. I am so sorry, guys. I did not multiply 3 times negative 2. I just wrote negative 2. That's 3 times 8. Negative 2 gives us a negative 6. That makes much more sense. All right, I made a mistake. So it's always good to look back over and see what you're doing. Anybody can make a mistake. Double check your work, okay? I hope that helps you to see that. Nobody's perfect. So if you mess up, don't feel bad. Nobody's perfect. Just do it again and get the right answer. We're going to add t to both sides. We're going to add 6 to both sides. We're going to add t to both sides. That's going to cancel the 6's on this side and the t's on this side. And we'll end up with 4t over here equals to 20. So t equals to 5. Okay? So we solved this very complex equation without a whole lot of trouble because we learned how to treat the common denominator as a whole number times the fraction and then eliminate or cancel out our factors. Okay? Let's do another one. We'll get a little bit harder this time. All right, so now we have, they're asking us to solve n over n plus 2. And that is minus 3 over 5. And that equals 0. Okay? So our common denominator is going to be 5 times n plus 2. So we're going to treat that as a whole number. And we're going to say 5 times n plus 2 over 1 times n over n plus 2. Okay? Minus 5 times n plus 2 over 1 times 3 over 5 equals, and we know that anything times 0 is 0, so we're not even going to bother writing the fraction because it's just going to be 0. So we're just going to leave it as is, right? Right. Okay. So now let's eliminate what we can. We can cancel this and cancel this. We can cancel this and we can cancel this. Right? And all that leaves is we have a whole number of 1 underneath each set of fractions. So we can calculate. That's going to be 5n minus 3 times, we're going to distribute the 3 to the n plus 2. So 3 times n is going to be 3n, and let's see, yeah, and it's a negative 2. So that's going to be negative 6. Because it's this negative right here. Can't forget about it. It's changing everything in here to a negative. So positive 3 times positive 2 times the negative is a negative 6. And that's over 1. So that's a whole number. And that equals 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to move our 6 over by adding 6 to both sides. And then we're going to smoosh these together. That gives us a 2n equals 6, n equals 3. Does everybody see that? Awesome. Okay, let's move on to 103.4. All right, let me clear the page. We're asked to solve 2 over 3n minus 2 over n plus 4 equals 0. All right, so we're going to treat this the same way. This is going to be 3n times n plus 4. That is our common denominator. So 3n times n plus 4 over 1, 2 over 3n minus 3n times n plus 4 as a whole number times 2 over n plus 4 equals 0. All right, let's cancel. We can get rid of the 3n and the 3n. We can get rid of the n plus 4 and the n plus 4. Now we can multiply. 2 times n is 2n. 2 times plus positive 4 is positive 8. Okay, that's over 1, so that's whole number. Minus 3n. And remember my trick, turn it to positive and make that a negative. Negative 3n times 2 is a negative 6n over 1 is a whole number equals 0. We're going to subtract 8 from both sides. And we're going to squish our 2n and our negative 6n together. That gives us a negative 4n equals a negative 8. Negative 8 divided by negative 4, n is equal to 2. All right. And that is what the book says, so we agree. These should be getting a little bit easier to see. You should be able to understand what we're doing with our canceling and our factoring at this point. It should be pretty clear that we're just trying to factor things out and reduce them as much as possible on the front end while eliminating the denominators in the process. So let's go to 103.5. All right. This one asks us to solve 4 over x minus 7 over x minus 2, and that equals 0. So I'm going to challenge you on this one to pause, solve it yourself, and actually anytime we have a problem, if you want to challenge yourself and see if you understand what you're doing, pause the video and then work it out by yourself, and then press play and see if you got the right answer. And that's how you can challenge to see if you're understanding what's going on. So let's go ahead and multiply our denominators. So we have x times x minus 2 as a whole number over 1 times 4 over x minus x times x minus 2 over 1 times 7 over x minus 2 equals 0. And we're going to cancel. So we can get rid of x and x. We can get rid of x minus 2 and x minus 2. So now we can multiply. 4 times x is 4x. And 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. And now make that positive, make that negative. Negative x times 7 is going to be negative 7x. and then this is going to be 0. We're going to add 8 to both sides, and we're going to smush positive 4 and negative 7. So it's negative 3x equals 8. Divide both sides by negative 3. We end up with a negative 8 over 3. And that is correct. Okay? All right, so I'm going to move to the last one. We just have one more. And what I would like for you to do is to solve this one on your own. We're going to try something a little bit different here. I'm going to pause the video, and I want you to pause the video and work it out. And then I'm going to restart the video with it completed, and I want you to compare your notes. Okay? So go ahead and pause, and then I am going to solve the problem and then show you the result. So go ahead and work it out now. Okay? And now, through the magic of video, we have the completed problem. As you can see, I took the common denominator, p times p minus 4, and I multiplied it as a whole number times each fraction. I factored out p on the first one. I factored out p minus 4 on the second one. I distributed 4 to p minus 4 and got 4p minus 16. I multiplied 3 times negative p and got negative 3p. Then I added 16 to both sides, and I ended up with smushing 4p and negative 3p into 1p, so that p equals 16. All right, if you did not get p equals 16, then I would like for you to rework the problem until you do. See how, or go back through your notes and see where you messed up. Did you factor something incorrectly? Did you change a sign? Did something happen where you made a little tiny mistake? Check your notes and come back to this answer. If you did get p equals 16, congratulations. You understand what you're doing and you see it. So good job. I'm very proud of you if you got that. And I'm proud of you if you didn't get that and you go back and rework it until you do. That is the last problem I have for lesson 103. I will see you in lesson 104.